evening. Welcome to Investigator News, and I'm your host, Ellie Holder. And old politicians, folks, when is enough enough? Um, when one of the first things was um, Mitch McConnell, alarming episode. I don't think it was alarming. Um, uh, Wednesday, in which he froze mid sentence during a news conference, and he had to be led away. And he kept saying, "No, I'm fine. I'm fine." Um, Now, they're being asked if it was related to a concussion he sustained, and he fell. And he had been speaking with the Senate Republican leadership news briefing regarding a proposed military spending bill. We're on a path to finish the National Defense Act, McConnell said in opening remark. This week has been good bipartisan cooperation in a string of, and then he weaved slightly and then was very silent. Then they kind of let him away. Um, I thought he had a stroke. I mean, he was standing there and he was just looking. Um, Either, dead space. And he was saying, "No, I'm fine." And he really got mad at him because he said he just needed a moment. Well, how many, I mean, they gave him a moment before they let him away. How old is too old? Add Mitch McConnell to the list of Beltway elders who shouldn't be in office. Um, but it's not just Mitch McConnell. It's look at Dianne Feinstein. Look at Nancy Pelosi. I mean, she may think she's spunky, but no. Now she has been taken out of the Capitol at least maybe a dozen times. I haven't got the whole list, but at least 6 times for being drunk at work and slurring and staggering. And then look at our own president. Now, now get this, he was having issues as vice president, but no one paid attention then because he wasn't our president and he wasn't out there for us to see. Look at Nadler. Bill Clinton is really bad. So many are in office. There's another little old lady that's on the Republican side, and I'm bound to find her name. But she's up there every so often. You'll see her, and I always thought she was just somebody's mom. But no, she's a politician. Now, term limits. We have been trying to get term limits in. I've been signing petitions for term limits since I was 20. Um, and 21 because everybody said this is what we need. And I thought, yeah, we did. My dad said we needed it. So, my dad said, sign the petition for term limits. How come it never happens? Now, I think these politicians, folks, they work for us. They are there for the people, by the people, in office on a vote for the people. They should be pushing what the people want. Even if it's a one person. Remember, I was telling you about democracy. It's not what a whole bunch of people that have bad ideas. It shouldn't be what they say. Maybe the one person that says, "I think you're a little too old to be being lost and then found in a broom closet at the Capitol." If you're that lost and you have to read from a card, I think it's time. I think it's time. I think the voters, uh, I think we have a keen sense of when too old is too old. I mean, we have aging parents. We hate to make that decision of hospice or maybe of a old folks home. nursing homes. I like to call them old folks' home. I don't like the word nursing home. It scares the hell out of our elderly. It's an old folks' home that's got everybody just like them, and they get to do things, and they keep them they try to keep them active. There's community centers or um, elder care they call it, that you can take your mom or dad or grandma or grandpa to. That they do arts and crafts. They have lunch. They have or snacks. They get to visit with other people. My sister went to one and she loved it. Not always, I think there was times she didn't really want to go. I think there's other times she really liked to go, but I don't think she was in the mindset for it. So when Mitch McConnell went silent, um, then you could see. Now he has, and I told you some bad things about him the other day, and that has nothing to do with his mind freezing. But he has not been one that has been on the side of his own Republican Party. And then you look at Joe Biden, folks. Um, I believe that we should be able to vote. That they have to have a cognitive test. What age though? 60, 70? I'm thinking, about 70. And it should be released. Why hide it? I think term limits, cognitive tests, and an age limit on what our politicians can be in office for. I love Grassy, and he's real sharp, but maybe he's even a little old. Now we heard from the um, uh, Capitol doctor that does cognitive tests, and he takes care of a lot of them. He said over 2 dozen. This is what should scare you. Over about 2 dozen, he said, are on Alzheimer medicines. And then you start looking, you're going, oh, this is scary. We need them at tip-top shape in mind, spirit. If they're going to run our country, and if with us so close to war, we need them in tip-top shape, tip-top mind, sharp as a whip, to make decisions, good decisions. I don't know, when you have Alzheimer's, you either the past really good and don't know the what's going on right now, or vice versa, or all of it. But we need to know. And I'm pushing. I made some phone calls today, and I'm pushing it. I want to push that they need to start having cognitive, and that we have a right to vote for the age and the cognitive. But how many more years are we going to sign petitions for term limits and be ignored? Yeah. Did you guys hear about uh, the words spoken by the President of the United States when he said we ended cancer as we know it? Huh. But those words weren't true at all. Cancer is still very much raging against humanity, basically. Because if it was ended, wouldn't we all hear it all over the local news and the world news and every news, global news, news? It would be a big hit if we were able to end cancer. But see, that's what Joe Biden said. And he said, he would cure cancer. And why cancer? He says, because uh, no one thinks we can, and we can. We can end cancer as we know it. Now, is this a mind of um, him mixed up with muttering words? Well, what was slipped was Biden has cancer and he's on some drugs. I'm not sure if they're experimental that is supposed to end cancer. Did you catch it? So um, I looked into it, and you can find it if you dig for it that Biden has cancer. Now I'm not the first one to say it. You know, he's had issues. You know, he had that brain tumor at one point, and they took it out. But you know, sometimes it comes back. Is that what his issues are? You know, is this why the White House doctor won't tell us what's wrong with him altogether? They're hiding it. Um, you know, the thing is Biden couldn't pronounce basic names, American rivers. He began bragging about guns, and then he didn't want guns. You know, he flip flops back and forth. Um, and you know, the article talks about it, but in the end, folks, it was just briefly, just for a second. He said he had cancer. Does he, or is this another lie to make people feel sorry for him? He knows this will end his presidency because you only get worse. You know, he might have to go through chemo and radiation. Um, is that what they're hiding? And they just want to make him feel better by saying, "Oh yeah, you can run next term." Wow. You know, Susan, see, I'm with you. Um, um, I didn't miss it. I caught it. And so did, let's see who put out the publication on this. Western Journal caught it. So did Breitbart, but it's in a little article. And I think everybody's kind of afraid to say anything. It might be misinformation, disinformation. But he claims he has an end to cancer. Um, So, is it true or is it not? Is this just another lie for us to feel sorry for him? Is this true? Which is horrible. You know, he's been in office for 50 years. I'm pretty sure he'll be well missed. But to end cancer, if they have got an experimental drug, why don't they just come? My thing is, Susan, who cares about Biden? What I want to know, did he say that there is a medicine out there that can cure cancer? Is he on it? Do they have it? Is this just another lie, campaign lie, propaganda that is being spread? And he was intent on talking about this. He knows something, but we just can't believe Joe Biden anymore with what he says. And if we ask his press secretary, you know, she's going to lie too. I mean, if she had a nose like Pinocchio, it would probably be going out the press hall at this point. They, you know, when you lie so much, you're just not believed. And if the big thing is, if there is a medicine that could cure cancer, they need to let it go. They need to release it. They need to let people know. And if it's experimental, let people try. The ones that want to try it, let them try it. Wow. Um, um, Now, we all heard about that guy that um, died, that was the chef of his name, Tafari Campbell. Now, his body was found Monday in a coastal pond on the southern shore of Martha's Vineyard. Now, I thought Now, and I had to go look. I thought he was found in the ocean, but no, he was in a pond, basically. Um, um, Now, he is one that worked as a chef for not only the White House, but he went to, um, with Obama and Michelle, um, to Martha's Vineyard when they moved there. So they're not really saying much. He did disappear. He was kayaking. He was 43 years old, and he was located on an island southern shore. Edwardtown, the Great Pond, is a 890-acre coastal pond of brackish water, a mix of fresh water and salt water, separated by a thin barrier reef from the barrier bench, I'm sorry, from the Atlantic Ocean, according to the Great Pond Foundation. The pond has an average of 3 to 4 feet deep. Um, the body was later found in 8 feet of deep water, 100 feet from shore, according to the statement. Um, Everybody, they say their heart is broken. He was a very young looking guy. And of course, um, but this isn't the first time, folks. I'm finding out I'm gonna look into all of it though. There has been weird, mysterious deaths around them, up around Martha's Vineyard. This isn't the first. I mean, is this Arkansas? I thought the Clintons only did this stuff. But we're seeing people come up missing in Arkansas around the Biden family, Pelosi's, anybody that goes against these political elite um, are now in fear of their lives right now. Devin Archer, he's in hiding. He said, and the question was, well, I thought Hunter Biden was your friend. He says, I have to hide from him now. They cannot know where I'm at. They will kill me, he says. Why? Why are they like this? Uh, uh, oh boy. Yeah, boy, I tell you what, Susan. See, that's what I mean. The stories that Joe Biden come up with, and then he wants to say this in a speech, and then he goes somewhere else, and then he mentions it again, and then he mentioned it 3 times in speeches. And then one of the last times he mentioned he had cancer. You know how he whispers, I got cancer. You have to go back and watch some speeches. Um, wow. Wow, wow. Um, oh boy. So I'm gonna move on. Um, and I mentioned this in my last show about Sinead O'Connor. She passed away 56 years old. Her son committed suicide a year ago. And family and friends and people that have worked with her said she had um, a, a horrible time with depression since her hit songs. And that was in the 80s, I believe. So prayers go to her family, and they're right now looking at the cause of death. So, but Sinead O'Connor is gone. Boy, so many keep going. There's a bunch on the um, soap operas too. There was like one or two, one off All My Children, one off One Life to Live, and I think one off over one of the other networks, Days of Our Lives or something. Um, Last 2 3 weeks, it's just everybody. Wow, everybody seems to be going. But 56 years old, that's not that old. I think of me at 61, and it's like, wow. I'll be 62 in November. So I'm thinking, boy, I lived Sinead O'Connor. Wow. But 56, you shouldn't be dying that young. Or even in the 40s. What about that chef? He was in his 40s. Yep, something's up. You put it with the critters that are dying, like I talked about on the last show. Um, uh, Seattle activists occupy tree to prevent construction for affordable housing. Yeah, they're protecting the trees. And in the meantime, our government that they support for the Green New Deal is plowing down um, uh, forest all over the world, even ours, to make way for solar panels and wind generators. Now, so why are they um, uh, affordable housing? Um, these activists are normally um, uh, college students. They live with their parents. Um, and they don't want affordable housing. Who doesn't want affordable housing for the economy the way it is right now? We just had uh, the biggest, we have got the biggest inflation right now and rate hikes in history. And the feds raised it again. So watch out. Remember, I told you that around September, November, or October, November, that the prices were going to go up again because there was going to be another rate hike. I said that, I think, a week or two ago. And so now we're seeing it. Now we're starting to see it again. Now, you wait till they get to Christmas and the new quarter. Are we going to see another rate hike just before Christmas? What is Christmas going to be like, the holidays? We know that this administration does not like holidays. Well, they do for themselves, but not for us. No Merry Christmas. It's Happy Holidays. And they cherish Halloween, of all things. And but look at 4th of July just passed. Um, Biden and his administration told um, South Dakota with Mount Rushmore, no, you guys can't do fireworks. You can't celebrate 4th of July. Why? Because the men on the mountain were great. What if what if Biden was so great? We would put his face up there. But I mean, we're not going to, but think about that. Why do we have a president that doesn't like our country? But then when it comes to stepping up for Memorial or Labor Day or 4th of July, oh yeah, they got the flag right up there. As their favorite protesters burned the flag and tear down the statues. You guys remember all those statues they pulled down? They're melting them. They were supposed to put them in places like um, cemeteries and national cemeteries, places that they could be appreciated. Well, they decided they're just going to melt them down. These are statues that were made hundreds of years ago or 100 years ago. I don't know. I've never looked into the age of our statues. And so now we got these activists that say, no, we don't want affordable housing because we don't want you to tear the trees down. They did that with the stupid spotted owl back in, oh goodness, 70s and 80s. Oh yeah, they climbed the trees and they weren't going to let anybody get these spotted owls, and they weren't, and the big trees back then. Now, and it was an owl, and then it was the smelt fish that they protested over, a little. I think it's a little itty bitty fish that they were. Oh no, you guys can't do nothing that you want because we're going to protect the fish. We're going to protect the owl. We're going to make sure affordable housing isn't put up. Have you guys seen the tiny house villages? What an awesome idea. Now, what it is they just have a plot of land, looks like a mobile home park, but they allow tiny homes. These itty bitty uh, China, Japan units that they're putting up as a bed, pretty much, and that's it. What the heck are they thinking? Why not give a tiny home? You can put, you can make it 200 square foot, and it's a bed, it's a little sink, it's like a little camper. If you're going to do it, make sure they can live in it, not just a bed. What good's that going to do? I mean, they don't even have a bathroom. Wow. Speaking of bathrooms, let me see if I can find this, but because I didn't read the whole article, but I was I couldn't believe this. Okay, so uh, basically they're thinking about taking bathrooms off planes, or you're not allowed to use the bathroom with a flight over like less than 2 hours. Um, they announced a rule requiring that airplanes with a single aisle feature fully accessible bathrooms, though. Um, they want to improve the accessibility of the lavatories, they say, on a single aircraft. Um, and they say that aircraft large enough to permit a passenger with a disability and an attendant, both equivalent in the size. Um, they say it should be. Um, See, I think that what is good about this, not only did they make it so maybe not you can't use the bathrooms, but they're going to make it handicap accessible now. So they throw out the good, and this is a typical trick that they do. Where it's going to be an accessibility. Okay, but you know how they when they do the budget, they throw in all the last minute stuff. Okay, then this got thrown in there at the last minute. And then you find out what? When I get on the plane, I get scared. And the second we're in the air, I'm crossing my legs going, I gotta go, I gotta go, I gotta go. And I don't like the bathrooms anyway. I mean, they're tiny, they're weird, I don't know. I just not big on airplane lavatories. I guess you have to say lavatories. I may get in trouble for the B word. Yeah. Um, So Buttigieg he's claiming this, and he's saying in all of his glory what a wonderful thing he did. Well, what about all the containers over in San Diego where the ships were offshore for so long? Yeah, yeah, or the train derailments. What about all this other stuff? And he's like, but you know what? I made lavatories on planes accessible. Give him a toilet seat award for that one. Oh, no, 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 no. There's so many other things Department of Transportation can do, like fix potholes in the cities. How about make the bridges stronger? How about fix our dams? Don't claim credit for a lavatory. Come on. Yeah. Um, they say that such accommodations have long been required on twin aisle aircraft. Um, they say even though aircraft that are smaller, subject to comparable guideline rules. Um, it's unfortunate that many travelers with disabilities are unable to get up the aisles. Um, and those seats are so close. People, it's like the movie theater aisles. You got about that much room. It's like, when I don't know if I mentioned it on this show, but went to the movie theater, Sound of Freedom, and there was two older ladies, older than me, that was in the aisle I had to get into, and they weren't going to move their feet, so I had to climb over their feet. And when I went to climb over the last foot, she raised it and I tripped. I hurt my arm for the weekend, and thank goodness it wasn't during the week because I mean I had it propped up. I almost put it in a sling, but come to find out, I just twisted my back a little bit, and twisted my knee. The weird thing is I grabbed the guy's head in front of me because I tried to grab the seat and it rocks. So I grabbed his head. I think it's stationary, I guess. Dropped my popcorn. But those aisles are not very wide. And when you're looking at some of these smaller airplanes, they aren't wide enough for a wide wheelchair, for oversized people. Uh, or what about oversized people that got to get up those aisles? Nothing wrong with making it a little better, a little wider. Oh, but are they going to take away from the seats? Them seats are already too small. Maybe they'll make single seats all the way down the center, and make them better seats. Yeah. Well, they don't want us flying anyway. They tell us to get out of the airplanes and walk. I'm teasing. Um, now, I've told you guys about the dog, um, Commander the Wonder Bite dog. Yep. Now, the commander is Commander the German Shepherd that is often found with old Joe right by his side. Um, Secret Service says they call it detail ankles. And old Joe could use a best friend right now. The problem is it isn't a very good friend to anybody else. The Biden family dog, Commander, has bitten numerous Secret Service, but the White House is excusing it repeatedly of this aggressive behavior. Now, released emails show Secret Service officials have documented at least 10 incidents of aggressive behavior. And this commander, is the name of the dog, a 2-year-old German Shepherd, has had at least one incident. A Secret Service was sent to the hospital after biting him. They said that one of the emails says that this dog lunges at their throats. And they said this is just in 1 year. They're not counting the whole time in service. But before that, they never did write it down or keep count. But in less than 1 year, this dog has went after them 10 times. They say that when you see them coming, they just stand out of the way. Well, they're there to protect the president, not back up and let the dog take over. Now, William said last night, it's just the dog is alpha and it's there to protect everybody, and Secret Service is in the way. With Secret Service, Commander the dog is in the way. So they say it's stressful. And with everything going on with Hunter, they said that when Joe Biden is stressed, the more that the dog bites. But it looks like they might have to get rid of it or keep it at the residence. Um, 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 Now, Mexico doesn't always try to get a hold of Washington, D.C., but now the Mexican consulate warns of high crime in D.C. It says that with their very lax way, and I know everybody, you guys are cheering on this one. Come on, let's be nice of the people that have to live there with the rising rate in the capital. Even the sheriff's department and police department, the heads, the chiefs, are now starting to realize it's out of control. But the Mexican consulate basically said the city of Washington, D.C., yes, there is an increasing crime. Um, and that what they are warning on is that they're letting too many felons from other countries or murderers or gang members into DC. And for some reason, and it's not because we're shipping them there because we're making the choice. No, these type of gang and terrorists and bad guys are all wanting to go to DC. So now Mexican consulate did warn DC and officials there that what they're getting there are men that are in between the ages of 20 and 30 that just aren't really good people. So why are we letting them through? And that was a question that was put to Mayorkas. Did you know, is what the question was, that we're letting in terrorists from other countries or people that are wanted? Or what about the ones that come in and kill, but we're not getting them back out? And he wouldn't answer. He wanted to go into they're all the things they've done that's good. Mile just didn't even answer any of the questions. So what we're looking at now is DC now has said this is now, and not only do we have crime that's gone up 50, 60%, but now we have more criminals that have been put into the community. Now, I don't know if you've ever been to DC, but I remembered it back in the 80s of we got into Maryland and then we went and we were getting close to DC and the neighborhood got really bad. And I was like, I think we went the wrong way. We shouldn't be in no neighborhoods like this. We even heard shots fired. And then you get to a certain street and the houses start looking better and boom, beautiful Washington, D.C. Yep, William's up. Will you awake? I always ask William if he's bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. I don't know. Sometimes he goes, yeah. I say that too. I get to ask that question sometimes, and I'm like, um, well, if it depends if I've had one cup of coffee or 10. Now ask me at 10, and boy, I am bushy-tailed. Oh yeah. So, good morning, William. Maybe is it morning or is it night? Do you guys ever do that? You go and you take a nap, and you wake up, and you look at the clock, and you're like, it's 7 in the morning. Oh, oh, I've done that. Oh boy, I've went in and took a nap at about 5 or 6. I was just gonna sleep for an hour or two. This was when I was doing morning shows, and I got up and I looked and I thought it was 10 o'clock in the morning, and I was like, so why is everybody still here? I thought everybody had work, and they're all laughing at me, and they're falling for it, and they're like, well, we're kind of waiting on you to cook, and I'm like, when did I start cooking breakfast? Get a donut, get a bowl of cereal. Why do you need me to cook? Well, because they're hungry, they said. They haven't eaten all day. And I was like, my God, you just got up a few hours ago. And they're all chuckling. Oh, they think this is a big joke. Yeah, it was 10 o'clock at night, not 10 in the morning. Yeah, that's when you know Ellie's had way too much nap. But people do that. Now, mine is looking at the clock and getting the wrong time. I don't know why I'm seeing the wrong time on my clock in the middle of the night, but I don't know. I think it's the 3 o'clock in the morning evil thing. I'm teasing. So Mexico is warning DC. This is serious. And then they said, and the other is Chicago. Now, my friend down in Tijuana, I asked her about this, and she said, oh, yeah, they're sending so many warnings to places like LA or San Diego, Seattle, New York. But they said DC, for some reason, a lot of these guys with tattoos want to go to DC. Now, that should scare the politicians enough to try to close this border. But I don't see, they're just not going to do it. Yeah, they're not going to do it. Now, I know our dollar is getting weaker, but Russia now has been seeking to work with Africa to weaken the dollar as Putin hosts the summit. When he did BRICS, something that he put forward, that he would like to break the United States, global hegemony, as a means of a realization of its aggression, he says. Now, when Putin says he wants to take down the American dollar, he wants to put in what the Russian money, China money. What's it going to be? Will it be Bitcoin? Or would it be this global money that's coming out? Digital currency. Remember, I talked about that a little bit, and I'll explain a little bit more uh, probably soon on a show. So now Putin is going country to country, talking them out of the American dollar and going for the Russian. Is it ruble? Let me since William's in here, he could probably tell me pretty quick. Um, I'm trying to see what he's pushing. I should have. I'm not seeing it. So do we know? Is rubles okay? But now he's even going for um, digital coin too, William. I think that's what I was looking for. I mean, this article didn't have it. I had two or three articles on it just to back it up that he was going country to country, and they said he's very when we don't hear nothing from him during the war with Ukraine. He has been off in other countries trying to either get them to join BRIC. Now, he's not, they say he's not asking for weapons or permission. He's wanting them to trade the currency for his currency and do away with the American dollar. So, and that was with Zero Hedge, folks. Um, Heck, I might be done on time, William. Um, Anheuser-Busch, oh yeah, Bud. They're fixing to lay off workers. They say hundreds, like over 500. They said. In some plants, it's going to be over half of the workers. Uh, did they make a mistake? I think they did. When you lose so much in your product, I think you go, oops, time to fix our PSAs, your public service announcements, your commercials. So, um, you know who's going to suffer out of this? The workers. But will Anheuser-Busch suffer? Will they still make money? Or did they make enough money now? They're like, oh, we made so much money off Bud, we can walk away. You know, that is the commercial elite is what I call them. And what I mean is, look at Walmart. I met a Walton here. I mean, Walmart started here. I've met a Walton. And you know what she told me? She said they've got the biggest heads and they don't care. They don't care about their workers. They really don't. It's about the money that they get. And once they make enough money, they can stand to lose a few stores. Yeah, but okay, they've got the billions, and then you lay off hundreds out of your store. That who it hurts the American people, not the commercial elite. And even the banks, even the banks are starting to feel the pain. And um, let's see, I'm trying to see if it's on my list. Debanking is what they call it. I was trying to find the word for it. Debanking has begun, they say. Get this, could be Chase. You remember we had some of them bank failures. Now we're looking at more banks in failure, not publicly. They're going to see the losses, but they're not going to come out and tell the public. And that's what they call debanking. So they're going to start closing down. When you would have 4 or 5 Bank of Americas, well, you might only have 2. Now, I have noticed that with some of the banks here. We had, I think, Regions or something. And it disappeared all of a sudden. You get these smaller banks. They say the ones that are collapsing aren't your hometown banks. It's the bigger banks. Um, So keep your eye out, and it's called debanking, to where you're going to start seeing these bigger banks start shutting down, which is again a loss of jobs for hundreds of people. As that's what they did with the stores. They shut down the little guys. The problem with the big bankers is they can't get bailed out. There's no money to bail, and they got to get it approved by Congress and Senate. And right now, Congress is to the point where nothing's getting passed. The Republicans, and they're putting a hold on the banking. So, and this came from um, quite a few economists saying that this debanking, especially Chase and Visa, even Visa and MasterCard are being affected. Their rates are so high that people can't afford it. When you can't afford it and people aren't paying their credit cards, there's a loss. So, yeah, debanking. Boy, I got horrible news today. Huh? Now, Russia's preparing to enforce a blockade on Ukraine with warships. And what it does is it keeps them from moving their ships, their grain or food ships, uh, out of port. Uh, so that way they can't get nothing to anybody. Do we, folks, do you really want the food from Ukraine? I mean, think about the war and the which way does the smoke run? How many chemicals is in their fields? Because they're saying there's a time the whole country is covered in war, what they call war smoke, and it's affecting the fields. They're really, do we do we want their grain? I mean, shouldn't we put a stop to what's going on with their shipments at this point and give maybe the food shipment to another country and stop Ukraine? We don't need that kind. We don't need food that's tainted. All right. Um, Putin is now working with, well, I got a lot of Putin stuff in the crew right now. He is going to have a meeting with Jinping on, guess what? The Belt and Road Initiative, something that he's very interested in, not only for Russia, but for him using it with other countries. Uh, Now, I call it a scam, the Belt and Road scam. I don't think it's an initiative because China's been doing this for a very long time, and he ends up owning these little countries that, oh yeah, they're going to pull it in and they're going to bring in their own workers and they're going to build themselves up, and the people that take in the Belt and Road Initiative lose, and then for the work that's being done. So now we have Putin interested in pushing forth the Belt and Road Initiative. Um, Now, you remember that art dealer with Hunter Biden? Well, I'm gonna get done early today, folks. I think I'll get done early today. Um, that buyer? He basically is basically a shady dealer, they say. Um, Not only with Hunter Biden, but they're a big form of a company with the CCP in China. So this company that is doing this art and these individuals are all working with China uh, also. Um, Now, um, California in LA had the shootout on a freeway. And there's probably lots of shootouts. They're all over the United States. But what caught my attention with this one is the car came to a speeding stop on the freeway and started shooting at other cars. It was like a Wild West, in town where you got the main road in the middle of town and people are jumping out and they're shooting back and forth. And uh, you've got gunfire from one person to the other person or a group of people on each side and the cops are in. That's what happened on a freeway in LA. But on the freeway, it didn't happen in town. I mean, it wasn't the gunfight on, Skid Row or in the middle of town. This was on a major freeway where road rage. I'm not sure if road rage or if it because I don't think they even know, or if it was rival gang members that were having this chase on the freeway and shooting at each other, and all of a sudden it skids to a stop, and then they start shooting multiple people on the freeway. Now, is this what everything's going to come to? You know what it sounds like? Mad Max, or what is it? Escape from New York, or one of them movies, to where it's the gang criminal jungle in the cities. And they want to cut back on the police department in LA. And they're having gunfights on the freeways. The thing is it messed up over 100 cars. They said there was only 2 cars on each side that were shooting back and forth, plus the police. But 50 cars with people in them were injured. They weren't even a part of their gunfight. I guess anybody that moved got shot because they didn't know who was who's on what side. There was people yelling, there was people crying, there was people falling out, cars being shot, windshields being broke. It was a mess. And the thing about it is nobody did on the news. I hit up LA News to see if I could find it because I found it in New York Post. I found it in Breitbart. I found it in a small little thing in Fox News. Uh, and even Town Hall, I think was the other one I found it in. Everybody was talking about this except for LA. But you know why? Because they're trying to defund the police. Is this what's is I have I'm going to say I was going to say is this what is going to be our future? No, this is what's going on. Now, will this happen? And is this happening in Chicago and New York? My nurse friend in New York says yes, it happens a lot. Chicago, it is. I looked it up. Gunfight on the freeway. I found quite a few articles, and they want to defund the police. Maxine Waters is in charge of LA. And so when I called her office, and because you can call a few of them on the not her main one in um, DC, I call her smaller offices. And I asked them this question: why would you defund the police when you got homeless that's grown from 2 or 3 blocks to a 5 mile square of homeless? And why would you cut the police department when you have got gunfights on the freeways? And you know what? The girl that answered the phone said, "Thanks for calling." And she hung up on me. Wow, folks. And that's Maxine Waters. If you voted for her and you really want to see more crime and you want this going on, vote for her. If not, quit voting for this woman. She's old too. What happened to the days when she wanted to help Freeway Ricky and do away with the drugs and the gangs in her district? Now, no, they want to defund. They want the drugs in. Then we got Mayorkas in the hearing that just won't answer the questions. He wants to say, well, I'll get that, I'll mail that, I'll get that to you. He never got anything back to anybody. Everything that he did in the last hearing that he said, I'll send you, never got sent. Same way with these politicians. And so, I'll circle back. I'll circle back. But let's not add the elders in our politicians. How about the politicians that aren't doing shit for this country? They're not listening to what the people want. It's just like when I called that senator up in Wisconsin. And I said, why is she voting like this? This isn't what the people want. Oh, well, she has her own agenda, her own opinions, and this is what she's going to do. I said, no, she was put there by the people to vote or to put her vote in what the people want in her district, not what she thinks is the good thing. And that's what they're doing. That's what these politicians are doing, folks, is they have their own agenda. And who talked them into it? The liberal Democrats. Our country has moved so far away from for the people and what the people want that we have to put it back in place. A lot of us are constitutionalists, is what they say. Well, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with having a constitution or a Bill of Rights or amendments? They were there for us to be able to follow some laws and keep law and order in check. And our politicians. And what do we have? Politicians that are corrupt. We see them every day. Some are even arrested for underage children. They're corrupt. They bribe. They take. They didn't. When you complain, you're a racist. You're a homophobe. You're a pervophobe. Whatever they want to call us, but we're all racist. Well, you know what? The thing is, how really white are we all? We all came here from other countries. We all have 157 probably of different ancestry. I know my family does. It's got 4 or 5 different races. So I'm not real white. Everybody came here to this country for our Constitution, for our amendment, for our freedom. Forget the democracy, because it wasn't that. It was liberty and freedom for all. So that's how I'm ending the show. Please share and subscribe and come on back for some trivia tomorrow night. And I got my stuff sent to William, and I just got to work on it a little bit over the weekend, and I'm hoping to bring it in very soon. And I think I'm giving you tidbits, and I think this is the direction that this show needs to go. I need to tell you guys how we need to take our country back and stand for the freedom, liberty. Be proud of our vets. Be proud of our flag. Be proud of those that are fighting for our country right now. And this is lost. To have the honor of a fine police department, military, National Guard, all of it. We worked hard to become one of the best nations in the world. And it's all being crumbled down by a group of one party that not only affected us, but pushing their agenda on the rest of the world. You guys have a wonderful Thursday. Subscribe and share. Do the thumbs up and like us. We need that. And share. We need more people on our YouTube. All right. You guys have a wonderful Thursday night, and we'll see you tomorrow for some trivia. God bless.